Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Madden God. I'm Max, your host, and as always, I am joined with whom? Do you know? Don't you? Yes, you know, the wonderful, the one and only, and always extraordinary, and often trying to be imitated and never equaled. Roxanne! Hi, Roxy!
Hello, Max. Every time you come up with an epic introduction, and we also have a guest today. Everyone,
Yes.
Max, tell us about him.
Yes, we have a guest. Go on and introduce our guest.
Oh,
The honors.
I can introduce. That's right. We have Isabelle Zimmerman. Now, Isabelle is a channel extraordinaire, um, and she's joining us today on a whim, kinda, an offering, an attraction, and I found out about it a couple days ago. I'm very excited about it, and here we are. So she's in the room. Isabel, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I was totally inspired to reach out to my friends, Max and Roxy. And it's really exciting for me because I just get to hang out with my friends.
Beautiful.
But
Well,
yeah, I mean, what's more better than that, right?
Exactly.
absolutely. There's nothing better than that, and we're very happy. You're our first guest
That's
ever.
it.
that's
Woohoo!
that's an honor.
The very first
I love
guest.
it.
We'll have to give her a token or something.
Yeah, too many more
Yeah,
guests.
absolutely.
Too many more guests, right?
To many
I'm
more.
glad
Yeah, we'll
I was the
we'll
first.
send you a medal, right? A commemoration medal,
Yes, Isabelle
symbolic.
Zimmerman, first guest.
Symbolic, right?
I love it.
Anyway, yes. So we're very happy to have you here and to share this moment with you and with everyone else. Um, and yeah, I think I heard you before talking about energies,
Yes,
changing energies in this moment, right?
lots
Yeah.
of energies. So I was telling Roxy and Max before we went live that I personally don't study astrology, but I would say I have a lot of psychic friends because I work with the teachers a lot at times. I'm a full time ascension teacher, and we collaborate a lot. And the energies from the planets really do impact us. And when I say this, you're going to realize, like, duh, because we're all one. Everything is connected. So, of course, everything influences and impacts us, right? Now, the science part of me makes sense that when planets are aligned, they are creating a gravitational pull in the space time fabric, if you believe in space time fabric, but it doesn't matter. But there is an electric-magnetic field. So if you could just go down to the basic of an electric-magnetic field, and when large bodies are moving in this field and creating patterns in electric magnetic field, it makes sense how astrology, I mean, it's old, so there's something to it. What I would say. So, anyways, I was just saying that in 2022, numerology 22 is about balance and harmony, and I noticed that in my reality there was just a lot of endings, a lot of deaths, a lot of relationships endings, and I think it was a leveling of the balance and harmony. And then we're moving into 23, and spirit is really talking to me about these energies coming in 2023, just as great potentiality of the energies that came to us in 2019. And after 2019, we got 2020 of COVID, right? And so Spirit's been guiding me, and they said these energies coming in for 2023 are just as powerful. Now, how that will manifest, how that will play out, man, they don't tell you. They just, they just kind of guide you. They don't want to ruin any surprises. So I cannot tell you what is going to happen in 2023. But I can tell you when Spirit is talking to me about one particular subject for a while or consistent, I do pay greater attention to it now, because I had gotten a message in 2019 and I was just like, well.
Yeah, and there's another thing now, and I was absolutely loving a lot, and that is your last live, Roxy. It was yesterday's, if I'm not, if I recall correctly, and I find it amazing because you're sharing so much of what is happening to you in such a through and direct way. You're not hiding, you're not pretending that right, that it's easy, or that there are no right there, you're not going through things. Yeah, I'm perfect, and you see of that this great channeler, and you just put it out there in a way, and I find it so fantastic and deep, and as I was listening to you, I thought, you see, this is ascending. This is what leading, right, opening the way so that other can follow, can go through it as you are doing it. And though in the moment obviously is challenging, is demanding, and you're going through it, so it's still, you're still there. So you may I'm saying this, and I'm not saying this because I want to lift you up. It's just what I'm, my perspective, right, what I'm feeling. And as I was listening to you, I knew that you're going through something, and that belongs to you. And but I also know, uh, as I've been working a lot with you, I also know that you're gonna through it, right?
Mhm.
You're doing it. And so it was really that feeling that I had. And I want to just to share this because I think that is so true, so real.
Absolutely. And okay, I lost your guys' camera for a minute, but you're there, so that's good. Um, it was a very, very brutal, honest talk, and I got quite a few emails and the comments on it about the brutality of being that vulnerable to the people. Because um, if I can't represent that, then I'm bullshitting, you know. And so I was like, this is what I'm going through. This is the truth of me. And that exposure was a massive change, another change of self, another layer of freedom. One of my friends wrote, she was in the classes I used to do on Wednesday night. Those are the free classes, just to come in and channel classes, and people would join in and listen. And anyways, she said, you remind me of a perfect mirror that's been shattered, putting yourself back together, because there's parts of the fractal that shine and the parts uh, of the whole that shine through, And it was an amount of change from externalism to internalism. I can't want it to belong to anybody else. I wanted it to. I'm not. I don't put anything outside of me. When I understood one and all, I can't be anything but the creator. I can't be anything but that. I'm not another creator, I'm the creator. Everyone is the creator from a subjective point of view. No one knows who the first one was or the second one was because there's no time. There's no counting, there's no measuring. All that's created from the human. So you really got to put it back down to the human level to realize that the only thing I've got here is human. The only memory I've got is human. So I'm interpreting through my human experience. And when I discovered I can take away the human and leave something else left, maybe I ought to try that. So I start taking away the human parts of me, not like destroying them, just changing the perception, the truth of the human to the truth of the inner self. And it realized that at some point of the work, there was a point to where I wasn't seeing beyond until the other day. And then I noticed a deeper layer of myself to come out and be that nakedness. Because no one's doing shit to me. I'm doing it to me. I'm doing everything to me. Everything. Everything is an interpretation. Everything is an experience. Are you watching? Are you looking? Every single ounce of your energy that you are interpreting belongs to you and experienced by you. So I really wanted to, you want change. Isabelle just talked about change. You want a new opening. It's very, very safe and secure. The society teaches us careers, investment, long term. These are things to be proud and boastful for. But we are natural explorers that are not permanent. It doesn't mean you do something and give it up right away. That's just the ego mind thinking how to be non-permanent. What you do is you take the journey of the now and just discover yourself. And holding on to permanency would be a hindrance. So when I was finding a perspective of myself, I was like, wait a minute, I think I'm bullshitting myself here. Now, this tool I was using got me to that point, but then it started hindering me. So I had to open it up and get it out that way, and that's the way I do it. That's the way I get my stuff exposed to my consciousness and say, hey, Roxy. And I go, what? This is limiting you. This is now a next part of evolution. So now change comes, and frequency opportunity that is vibrating to us all the time through law of attraction is allowing different frequencies in so different concepts can be perceived as well, of course, as experienced. So I think it's a great time for all of us to embrace the change that comes to your doorstep, whatever that is. And like Isabelle said, we don't know what the hell it is. And I wouldn't want to know what it is. I don't want to know what it is. I don't care what comes. If I'm forever and I'm indestructible and everything is just experience, what do I need to know what's coming? Because I need to be safe, I need to be secure, I need to be certain. Those are human attributes. Those are human. Those keep me limited to the future. And then if I do know something, am I already changing the way I'm experiencing it because I have a knowledge about it? Which is not right or wrong, but it's choice. And we always want to see we choose to create a reality. And understanding the relationship behind that want or that choice is another layer of self-awareness. So I think it's good. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Max, and I'm glad the people out there that listened to it and the people that wrote me in the comments. It was a possibility for everyone to embrace about themselves because we're so busy. We're so busy showing up, posturing up this image, and it's struggling and it's hard, and we're all exhausted at the end of the day because the only thing we do is try to be this fucking image. What image are we trying to be? And of course, when you start to take down that image and you start to realize your own bullshit, then you still find images within that structure. And you got to keep digging and digging and digging. And that's what I found, and you be as naked and truthful as you can to expose any other parts of your own limitation. And it's not scary uh, in releasing of it. What the scary part is you're not going to know who you are. You're not going to have a resume of projection. You're not going to get the same idea about yourself and what you can rely on in your personality behavior that keeps you constructed as an image. And that image is a fulfilling inside. It's a very intimate, personal image that we hold, which fulfills our image of ourselves, our emotional image, our emotional body says, okay, I feel good about me because. And then when we start to deconstruct those things and we're enough without a resume, then we can start to really explore our humility within our kingdom and find those things that keep us limited. And it's not limited in a bad way. It's limited in frequency acceptance. It's not limited you're not doing something right, you're conditioned. It's limited in what we can get as a frequency potential. It's a condition within the structure of that truth, and therefore the hindrance of that truth can't allow different truths to come in. It's like a river is flowing and you have a dam made of sticks and mud. And you go and start pulling, so you get more of the river coming through. You get more water coming through. So you get that flow, and in that flow, you start to feel or perceive different ideas, epiphanies, quote, out of the blue. It's not out of the blue. It's you creating original thought, giving yourself an idea, say, hey, how about this or this or this, or here's a concept of epiphany or whatever. And you look at that and you investigate it, and you don't put the slant of humanity on it. What's it going to do? What's the value? What's the outcome? Is it going to make a difference? Am I going to waste my time? And those are structures of identity to make sure you keep yourself on track, which means you're showing up an image to keep you on track, because you better be performing for who? Your ego? The world? You got to find that truth inside. And I think this is a great time. Don't you both think that COVID, uh, for take out the polarity of course of it, but COVID offered just an epic insight to so many people looking at what life was supposed to be to what life can be. And I think that was one of the greatest events we attracted for the species. We're interested in ascending this species. We've been ascending. Look at our technology now. Look what we've done since air conditioning in 1953. And here we are in 2020, almost 2023. Look what we've done in that short amount of time. When we start doing these things, we created so much. So we're very interested as a collective in ascending this species. So when we get cycled and stuck, we give ourselves a plague, a flood, COVID. We give ourselves
And
and
I
say,
think,
wake up. I
yeah,
think that was a great call. Go ahead. Go ahead, Isabel.
I agree with you. I thought, um, to be honest with you, I thought the plague was very gentle. And I know a lot of people had not so gentle moments. But I would say overall,
It wasn't
I
bad
think it
at
was
all.
very, I think it was very gentle,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there were timelines way far, far, far worse than what we
I
had.
think it was
Yeah.
Nora Harold had said, the Pleiadians, the P she calls them, she said, this is the best case scenario of what you guys could have had happen to you. I think I remember something of that,
Yeah, she
what
said
you
that. Yeah.
attracted, which, whatever it was, it worked. It worked because the workforce, the different generations, the relationships, in my ego mind, well, you guys did, you're ruining the world before we had internet, we all had telephones that were on a wall, and all this. I have to be a hero because I lived tougher times. Well, that's my ego. Shut the fuck up, because that's not these people's experience. I saw a
Hmm.
2-year-old playing with the machine, swiping already. Swiping the pictures. Perfect. Because that's where the species is at. We created this to evolve the species. And I think what looks at as a negative idea is not. It's hey, oh, you're kind of stuck here. Boom, loosen up, and boom. Right.
Yeah.
And on the same, and not exactly the same, but you, Isabel, too went through. I mean, I'm not asking the detail, but you too went through a period of lately of self discovering, very deep
Very
and
deep. Intense grief.
very demanding too, right? Intense grief,
Intense grief.
personal.
It was beyond my wildest dreams to have such an intense grief. And Max, when you gave me the confirmation, because I knew it, I knew I was grieving for other lifetimes. Like I knew it, because um, I went within so much and connected with that aspect of myself in that life. But when you said, and I really appreciate this, Max, because you didn't know, you hadn't heard the story, but you picked it up, and you said she could not grieve, and so I grieved for her.
Yeah, exactly.
And that really resonated with me, and that was also very healing for me, even though I'm coming out of my grieving period. This my personal journey of 2022, probably, I could cry right now, was probably the hardest thing I've ever went through. And it's weird and it's surreal.
Isn't that
It
fantastic?
doesn't make logical sense, you know? But so so as I was going through my personal journey, I got very quiet. Like I just cocooned, because like when you're in the muck, you're in the muck. Like I took it minute by minute, day by day. So this is what the spirits kept on telling me. So when you do soul work, I always joke around that my guides are like cricket, like they're silent, because they just want me as the human to go through what I need to go through, right? Every once in a while, they would pop in and they would say to me, "My child." I would be like, "Yes." And they would be like, "Our sweet Isabelle, just imagine that you're an elephant." And I'm like, okay, this is already cheering me up. So you're an elephant and there's a mud pit, and the African elephants actually coat their skin in mud for the flies not to bite at them. And your grieving is you wallowing in the mud, but it is necessary for you to wallow in this mud. Because as you wallow in this mud over and over and again, because I knew no spiritual bypassing, so I felt it. I just was really uncomfortable, went through it and felt it. But as I was grieving, just like the elephants rolling around the mud, they make a greater divot. So when the rain comes, there's a fresh pool of water for all elephants. And that's really what it felt like. It felt like I was in the muck and I was in the mud, and I was just like, one day the rain is going to come, and that rain is really more love. So when I allowed myself to go into such depth of grief and sadness, I was digging a well so I could allow more love in my beingness. And that's really counterintuitive.
No, not at
As
all.
the human.
As a human, but we're not humans.
Yeah. Right.
We're
Exactly.
not. We're not humans. I always look
No.
at grief and strife and the bad times as exactly why we came here.
Yes.
Why would we want to soften the blow when we chose here to experience we can't get anywhere else? Why? See, you're alive. Now, while you're in it, and I've been in it too, you don't want to be in it. And I'm not talking a little. You want to be out of it because it hurts so much. It's painful so much. You hate, you're just digging, you're crying, you're sorrowful, you think you're nuts. You go and you are vibrating in a world that can't be touched unless you have this particular point of view, this experience, this separation. And what happens when you experience it? Does that not forge your own will? Does that not take your social memory complex, your soul, whatever you want to call it, your isness, and build it in the capacity of its own wisdom? You endured that because you didn't put little candy on it or wrap it or run it or take some fucking escapism meaning. You lived it to know it. Does that not say something about the structure of you, Isabelle? That you can endure that now? Not only, of course, more love comes because you've freed that darkness by experiencing and lightening up. You also have the means without a theory, which are too many people out there are doing this on theory, is to teach it. You can teach it.
Yeah.
Not
Yes.
teach it from
Absolutely.
them, from the one who lived it. To me, there's always a degree of, of separation with the ideas of my people that I channel, anyone that it's being filtered through me. They're being in the idea of their world not being this journey. So it only comes back to you. You can feel them emotionally, but everyone knows here, everybody single listen to me knows emotions die and they must be continued to be energized because that's the vast of our identity is based on emotional content relationship. Once you have no emotion, you're empty. That's why people like to go fuck shit up when it's too good. And that's why people come here when things are too bad. And all they do is just take their energy from one source to the other polarity and create an identified life. Perfect. But when there's nothing there to stand on, and you're down in that thing and you live that, you realize you're still here. And all of those ones that are telling us how this works is still a perspective from your truth, bringing back the truth that you own your reality and you can do this. You got through it. I want to bitch about it. I want to make a story about it. It sucks so much. But I'm not going to live my life in the past and what I went through. I'm going to bring it inside me and stay right where I'm at here and now and keep driving to create the enlightenment within my kingdom. Otherwise, what am I doing?
Yes.
You know, I've done everything already. I don't need to do it again. Don't need to do it again. But if we find more layers of ourselves, which I did the other day, that's when I immediately gave it to the world because I wanted to represent the possibility of creation. How many times do we quell ourselves for the fear of how we will be represented, how we will be rather interpreted, what we represent, how it's going to be interpreted in the criticism? How many great scientists of the world took their paper and hid it because it wasn't allowed because of the academia of the current? How many great people couldn't express themselves because of a doting mother or father or a criticism of an egoic professor that says, no, you're not smart, or trying to slap his dick on their forehead because they're not good enough for that. You know, that's what we build the internal courage to understand that you matter and you should never negotiate with your light, ever. And give the people what they want. What they want is change, opportunity, expansion of self. What we are by nature, we are not permanent. I think we have a long way to go around to say we've got a lot of change coming. Yeah, go ahead, Max. You were going to say something.
Yeah, but right, it's I love this because it's you both of you, you're bringing up the work, the what we are bringing in this experience and what we are sharing and how we come to the moment, as you said, Roxy, is that then when you get the experience, that's when then you can go and teach it, you can share it, you can be there and say, well, this is what happened, but from a standpoint of experience. And you know, it's so different. I see my sister started a therapy some months ago, and then recently she met my aunt, and she was telling to my aunt, I changed. And when my aunt told me that, Roxy's just, yeah, she knows the story. When my aunt told me that, I felt angry, but it's not angry. I just felt the bullshit, right? The she's bullshitting in this that's not you. You cannot for 30 years be just a train wreck, and then in a couple of months you already changed. Change doesn't happen because you claim the change. Change happens because it happens, because you do the work, because you bring out what you have inside, what you are, and you put it there, pam, just there, and you just go through it, and you experience it, and you just have moments where you just want to die because it's so painful, but you come out the other side every time changed, and ready to keep going, to do it again with something else. But that's how we do it.
Absolutely.
So I cannot believe that, right? Someone that starts a therapy and in just a little time, and you're already, no, you have to stay in it. You have to do it. You have to keep doing it and digging and exposing and have all that you are. It's like getting naked and staying naked, but every time you go through it is that you find that you still have some clothes on you, and that you have to
Keep shedding.
rip those apart.
Yeah.
Because you have to be naked,
In
right? You have to be that.
in the vibrational tactician, this is for me and Max. It's the class I'm giving right now. And Isabelle, you can understand this, because when you were in yourself, like you were, and you were in your grief, and whatever your mind was selling you was irrelevant. We're not going to talk about the details because that's just the distraction. When you pay attention to the feeling in its purest, the vibrational familiarity, that's what I call vibrational tactician. You're learning the language of the now. You're becoming alive in the actual frequency through this awareness and feeling reality. Remember, we feel reality before we get reality. We get it 1 second later in our idea of our sight, but there's always a delay, because when it's now, it's already here. And as soon as you say now, it's gone. So it's already here. So you trust the feeling of yourself, right? So we developed that skill, and that's when I was in myself feeling it, I saw, wait a minute, this truth of me vibrates, stinks now. So it's like, Max, you got a aunt telling you about your sister. Now let's all look at something here about externalism and internal truth. You got bullshit as soon as the aunt said that, right, Max? You with me? Okay. So you called
Yeah.
bullshit on that.
Yes. Yep.
So what were you reading? See, here's what the external mind would do. Well, how do you know? There is no external any longer if you are trusting your internal vibratory relationships, because there is a quality of human being interjected by the ant that in that frequency range is a projection of something that Max is very familiar with, belief systems. You can feel the structures behind that. That's why I was able to spot the bullshit about me. I was going into the depths of myself, fully accepting myself, but there was a part I wasn't loving about myself. I had to love my hate deeper. I had to be okay with the person that I was, because it was a person I was going to change that I was relying on. I was looking at a person that was in the future, not the person I was in the moment, accepting the person I am in the moment, but not being okay with it. That's the change that came. So you felt vibration, Max, and you call bullshit. Now that's in your world. Are you wrong? You can't be wrong. It's impossible to be wrong, because you are developing your own
Yeah.
skill set of reading and understanding frequency, which is everything. Everything is vibrating, and everything is an interpreted idea of frequency, vortex, movement of energy, right? So we become intuitive about that because we lived it. So here comes a person skipping along Fandango, and they're feeling like a train wreck, and they run across Isabelle, and Isabelle is a frequency of change. Now, they may not understand why Isabelle's in their life, but they're going through something that Isabelle, as attraction, is here's my experience, and that little person wants to understand how to get out of their funk. So there's a potential there, and they meet because she understands it. She's not a theorist. She's not a prescription druggist to get you to solve the pain with a temporary fulfillment. She is an enlightener, a way shower, a changer of self that can offer that. But again, it's not her responsibility. It's in the person that receives that idea that has to do the work. In other words, no one can do the work for you. Going back to the idea, I can give it all to everyone up here. Hey, it's you, it's them, and they're this and they're that. Bullshit, that's great, but it's all down to you. It's always been us. So you might as well get to know the person that you're living with every day. I mean, really get to know, but you got to look at that self and find things about you that, I don't like this. This is a structure. This is a structure that gives me an emotional identity, and I can have that, but it isn't my truth. Does it go against the salt of me, the grain of me? And you felt that bullshit, Max, right away. That's the grain that is not my resonation. I know bullshit. Now, again, since it's a sister, there was some reaction, which of course is your work because it's a family member. If it was Joe Blow down the
Yeah.
street, you give a flying fuck because there's no investment in time.
Exactly. That's perfect. But and what I love here is that I'm listening to both of you, and with both of you, what I got in the end is evolution, is getting to the next level of vibration, let's say, of transcendence, because the work that you've done, it's a evolutionary work. And when you get like you, Roxy, suddenly you discover something that you were not seeing before, but now you are seeing it. It's that you've come to a new level of understanding, of being, of work, right? You change your vibration.
Yes.
And so now you are able to do this because now this is what you can do.
And I get more stuff. The biggest change that I felt was the next
Yeah.
morning, there was a layer of pressure that was gone. I had different
Mm.
thoughts in the morning, different feeling, a different status of self during the morning. And Isabel, I know you have changed. You may see your memory tells you what you were, but your presence tells you what you are. And you can feel that with your own truth. It doesn't need to be approved. It doesn't
Yes.
need to be validated. It needs to be accepted. That must have happened somewhere. Otherwise, you couldn't get that level of grief you went through. You looked at yourself in the mirror and you called bullshit on yourself and you said, I'm going to go and dig this. And you did. You may not go, I'm full of shit, but you did something to expose to you the things that are human within you that you A, may experience, and B, in my idea, more importantly, transcend. Good stuff.
Yeah, one of the interesting things, um, I've been journaling, meditating, going for long walks, that kind of thing, to do the soul work, and I lean into that shadow work. And I agree with you, Roxy, 100%. I fucking came for this. This is my creation. I'm all fucking in. And if that means I'm going to die from emotional pain, fuck it. I'm going to do it.
Love it. Take the fucking
But
pill.
you did.
Perfect.
Yes.
Fuck it,
But
right?
you did die at some
I
level,
did.
right? It's
I
yes.
did. All right. So, anyways, I want to share this with you guys. So the fucking ego, like I call my ego now an 800-pound gorilla. So what was really interesting, just I think yesterday or the day before, I started crying in the morning. But this time over the grief was a feeling of failure. And I went, huh. And instead of me talking myself out of it, like there is no failure, everything's an experience, it's all for me, blah, 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 blah. I didn't. I said, okay, I'm a failure. And I went right into it. And I was with little Isabelle, and I was going, instead of discounting it in any nanosecond, I was like, no, no, no. I'm going to follow this thread all the way through. And as soon as I said, I'm a failure, and I started to apologize to Tyler, and I started to apologize to even my guides, and I started to apologize to myself, a flood of tears came. And it was kind of surreal, because there was this little voice in the back of me, like, real, because I really do believe there is no failure, because I really strongly believe in evolution.
It's a fucking point of
right?
view. Failure is
It's
a
a point
of
view. Right.
view. It's a perception.
So
Perfect.
it's a perception. So it's interesting that here I am going through this emotion, feeling failure, but having such a strong knowing, like you said, Roxy, it's just a point of view. It's not true. So to have this dichotomy at once going through it, I just allowed myself to go through it and say, okay, let's go into that complete feeling of failure. So after that, and it was really psychologically fascinating, but like after that, there was such a peace. There was such a peace within me that, because I didn't fight the feeling or try to say, I'm not a failure, because I know it's a perspective, I went, okay, yeah, I'm a failure. Now what? Let's, So that's what I wanted to share, because, you have so like ingrained knowings now. Like we know we're the creator of our reality, right? And so to have like a very human emotion of failure when you really know you're a creator, to me it's very interesting. And it was, I'm sure, necessary. It was necessary for me to excavate that.
But look at there it is. I love look. Necessary is an idea of a human term. It was attracted for your
Ah,
evolution. It was
right.
attracted because you're very interested in experiencing every possibility of creation in a perspective that gives you an experience, a feeling of failure. How does gods are not failures, because there's only one creator creating all of this, and there's no failure in reality because we're all experiencing forever. That's a pretty good idea. I mean, think about the other possibility, non-existence. Okay, since we're on the good side of things and we get to experience, there's no failure. There is the created experience. So when you got down to that and accepted it, then the ego didn't have any energy for you to counter it in polarity, going, let's fix the failure and go out and do something positive. You said, fuck you, I'm a failure. I get to
Yep.
fail. That's when I was like the other day in the thing. I get to hate. I get to see what a total fucking piece of shit I am because I get to create the feeling of that absolutely degraded self that has no value except its existence. Then there's nothing else. But I am. I can't demolish
Mm.
that. I can't take that away. That's the total nakedness of self. That's why you cried. That's why you're like, wait a minute, I'm still here, motherfucker. You can make me feel any way you want, but I'm still here. And now I love myself even more because I know. Now I know, not believe, because believe implies doubt. It has a controversy, it has an opposing side. Now I know, which is a self that cannot be moved. That knowing says, I'm not a failure. Now, Isabelle can never experience failure because she's taken the program of failure and transcended it of a fucking
Mm.
master. It's,
You see the belief systems?
those are the
Yeah.
beliefs. Look, we came down here and I'm on a computer screen, right? So Isabelle has all these programs on her computer screen. And she goes, oh, look, let me open up doubt. Oh, I get to experience doubt. She's got this program running. And these are all the things that your little computer was downloaded with when you got onto the planet. And then you start taking on these right here. Here's the possibility of fear. Here's the possibility of success. And you get to run these programs all the time and experience them. But now you're, wait a minute, I'm the user. I'm the fucking guy behind the computer. Wait a minute. What
Yeah.
happens if I delete this program of failure? Well, then I can't experience failure. Wow, that feels good. So that's the transcendence that you did. Because it's all a subjective
Yeah.
world and it's all your world you're creating. And now that you're in that bubble going, wow, look what I created. Now let me see if I can do something about it. Not as a purpose or a reason of avoidance. Let me see how I can experience it in its fullness. No buffers. Like you said, Max, I don't have any clothes on. There's no more coats. I'm naked. And then I find another layer that I have still some clothes on. I got to go deeper. And I keep evolving until there's only the light of me left. That's the I am.
Mhm.
And that awareness happens naturally because you can't separate yourself from yourself. That's just a point of view that's created as an illusion for the computer program in this case that's running for the experience. What happens when you're running on yourself? You're only left with that creator. That's exciting. Great work, Isabelle. Great.
Aw,
Yeah.
Roxy, thank
Is.
you.
You got to do that. You got to be that. You got to live that. Now look at the quality of your experience. People don't want a theorist, they want an experiencer. They want an
Mhm.
experiencer of life, of understanding polarity and how we can navigate and transcend these, not avoid and fix them, to know them within your kingdom.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. And exploring the contrast and leaning into the rejection or sadness or the contrasting emotions that are perceived not as beautiful, I would say. And
Right.
there's a deep beauty into grief. Like even in my intense emotions of grief, there was moments where I felt grateful to feel such a depth of grief. Very much so.
It's easy to run over to the positive side. It's easy to make yourself feel good. But if you ever watch it, why isn't it permanent? You think creators were born in a permanent state of shitty? We're born unconditional love. That's our natural state. That state will never go away. And you experience the possibilities to only show you without them, you're natural. And you don't have to fight
Mm,
for your happiness. You don't have to pursue it. You don't have to create it out of intention because it's what you are if you take enough of the shit that says you're not. And humanity, they have it reinforced that you're not God, that it's out there.
yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
bullshit, kingdom of heaven lies
It's
within.
bullshit. It's total
It's right here.
bullshit.
I got this. Max, say something.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking Isabel is back. Um, and because you got me concerned at in one of our earlier discussion, and now I'm very happy because I feel I see that you came through, you came together, and yeah, and that's great. And I mean, you know, but this is the thing. It's not that it's you know that someone, you perceive someone is going through something, and they have their stuff, and that is happening, you know. And my first thing, my first thought, but what I said, oh gosh, intervention. Have to do something for Isabel. She's in need. And then I said, no, Isabel is not in need. Isabel is gonna find her way through this,
Absolutely.
because Isabel is a god,
She's forever.
and so she's going to do what gods do,
How human of you to rescue a
right?
person from their own pain. That's running interference
You
on what they
can't, yeah,
attracted so they may experience the greatness of themselves. That's good. You quelled that. I mean, it's felt compassion. You wanna help people. You just say, don't go through this. It sucks. But if you do, then you
yeah. You
hinder their
want you
life.
want to shield, right?
You don't
Yeah,
want to hinder their life. They knew damn well. Everyone knows
yeah,
damn well what happens when they come here. We're not like, I knew it'd be like this. Maybe the fractal. But you, when you incarnated, knew damn well what this is you're getting yourself into. The greatness of
yeah.
separation. The master class.
Yes, and you see that this is the thing, is that right, even though we may have that moment where you say, oh, there's need of help, when you allow, when you are just say, well, right, you are unconditional love, so from that point of view you share that, right, you're sending that unconditional love, which is opening the door, right, to the unconditional. And at the same moment, you know, well, yeah, you allow, you let people do their job, you allow that to happen for them, and that's the way to go. If you try to take away pain from people, you are not taking it away,
You're sustaining it.
you're not healing people. Yeah, you're not healing people because you want to heal them, right? It's counterintuitive. It's the opposite of everything that we have always been told and talked. And oh, if you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. Well, no, you have to allow, to allow. And yeah, it's difficult. Of course, it's difficult, especially when you have children. Allow your children to have their experiences. Oh, but they're gonna suffer. Yes, they're gonna suffer, but they as we did, they choose to have these experiences, and you cannot take that away from them because you're not shielding them, you're not preserving them. And that is very, very hard, because as a parent, that exactly what you don't want to do. You want to protect your child, but it's with everything is like that. And with the experience, you come to, you see it, you experience it, you see people that you say, oh, they're fucked up, and then sometimes after, you see, oh, they've evolved, they've
Yeah. Isabel, what were you going to say?
So I actually experienced that with my child. My child had she was in dire straits, and I was in the hospital with her, and and I couldn't. I She was in extreme emotional pain, and I thought, son of a bitch, am I going to lose my baby? Because I couldn't take away her emotional pain, right? And so what I would say when I went through that, a friend of mine channeled this for me actually, and she said, in that now moment, ask yourself what you want. And that felt so weird and surreal, to being triggered as a mama bear, to want to protect your child, and in that intense emotion to just pause and ask myself what I wanted that moment. I think what it was it got me into, it was like a shocking splash of water on my face to disrupt an energetic pattern. And so when I asked in that moment, whether I acted on it or not, it brought me back to myself, and it brought me back into self love, and it allowed me to ground myself. And because I was there for myself, of course, I could be there for my daughter. And when she had episodes, and the school would call me, and I would have to go to the hospital, there is a lot of times where I was just in the throes of the experience, and anxiety and stress and fear. But somehow, some way, I was able to ask myself, what do I want in this moment? Even with heightened emotions of fear. And I remember doing it for the first time, and I felt like I climbed Mount Everest. I couldn't believe I did it. I couldn't believe I remembered. I couldn't believe I asked that in such a thing, in such a moment of intensity, I was able to do that. And so, yeah, I agree with you, Max. It is a son of a bitch when it's with your kid, but you can't even take away their pain. You can't, like Roxy said, you can't take away anyone's pain. And it's all for them, and it was all created by them, you know? But it is hard sometimes to witness. And of course, we want to be compassionate.
But also, as a parent, when you are experiencing that, are you in your perspective or are you in their perspective? Because there's the co-creation that is happening, obviously, that is there, and that you cannot deny it, take away. It's real, right? But it's still your perspective that you are experiencing. You cannot experience their perspective, and this is what is difficult to understand and to experience fully, because you are there with your child and you see them suffering. You cannot bring that back to the self, right? And you are there grieving too, in pain for your child, but whose pain are you really feeling? Can you feel their pain?
So
Right?
that's really curious that you're asking me this, and I'm going to tell you guys, I'm not sure. I am so energetically tied to that little being that came out of my body that I wonder, well, like, I know we're all one anyways, but I can feel. So, okay,
Here we go.
when I heal Reiki, okay. So when I do Reiki for a client, I'll just go into their energy, and I'll like, if I get a knee pain, I'll say, "Hey, is your left knee bothering you?" I feel their pain in my body. Is it my pain, or is it a communication system that I'm feeling their pain in my body?
Well,
Right?
don't objectify what's happening in human terms. What Max is saying, it's still your world in that moment.
It is
That,
at
but
the end of the day.
whether
Yeah.
it's their pain or not is irrelevant. What it is that you must see, you're still creating your reality on those truths. That's the
Yeah.
point behind it. So, of course, you can feel and interpret their frequency of pain because you understand pain, but it is not their pain that they are experiencing that you're experiencing. You're interpreting that frequency as painful. It doesn't deny that they're not in pain. But what it is still looking at this is well and creating my reality right now.
Yeah.
Really, really
Yes.
owning the moment. When you are Reiki healing, of course their knee is in pain. And you don't even need to ask them. You don't even need that idea. You know what's going on because that's the emittance of the frequency, and your skill set can interpret that and you can do your work. But that's your insight into that idea of healing in the moment. But it's still your insight in your world you're creating for yourself.
Mm.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the ownership of the here and the now. It's all me.
Yeah. And it doesn't take away from what is
Absolutely. It never
happening,
takes away
right?
from it.
It's
But that's what the ego mind,
exactly.
because the ego mind is so objectified and so separated, it's always assigning it in different places. It's right here. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean
See
it's
it.
not true. That's why I asked Max. Was it bullshit with your your aunt and your sister? Yes, that's a truth that he owns because he understands the frequency and he's not going to debate that.
Yeah. Because I could say, yeah, but it's just me. It's just
Right.
I don't like my
So it's me.
sister,
So
so she's bullshitting, right?
bingo.
That
You're
kind of
putting a
thing. So
reason behind it, but you
yeah,
know it was bullshit. So you
yeah.
know it's your daughter's in pain. You know the emotional experience. She's bleeding it all over consciousness. And you're interpreting that, and that's what her projection is. But that doesn't mean you change it. It means
Mm-hmm.
you experiencing your moment and that co-created moment as the value of the ascending Isabel.
And that's why when she told you to ask what you want in that moment, it's bringing you back to
It brought
you,
you back to the moment.
so that
Yeah,
yeah, so that then you stop projecting your energy into the pain, into the right, externalizing it. You bring it back to you. And that's why then you are able to be there, to be available in a different
right.
way. Because when you stay into the externalization, so in putting it out, oh, my baby is in pain, and you get into the emotional situation of it, then you are doing what? You are occupying your energy. You are putting your energy and taking it, right, making it, oh, stink there, oh. Whereas when you bring it back to you, you are freeing it, right?
Yeah.
It's free, so the flow can happen. That's when there you can be available for you and for the co-creator, for your baby, right? For your child.
Mm-hmm.
But it's again, it goes completely in the opposite direction of what we believe generally we ought to do.
Outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Eh,
When you're putting out the energy of compassion and pain, you're reinforcing the moment. When you're accepting of their pain and you're offering your isness, that's transcendence of the moment because you're not putting out the same counterance to feed it. You're allowing it to be changed, right?
It's the same work you did with your
Yeah,
pain,
well, yeah, very
actually.
good. Very good, Max. It's the same work she did with the pain because the difference between the daughter and the ego, they're the same idea. They're projected identities. They're projected relationships that are assigned to something outside of the self. It just takes different forms of consciousness. Really good shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and you see, it's this is what doing work is. It recognizes things, changing our relationship with what is happening, right? We learn, and this is what I see with what you've done also, Isabel, is that you've been able to bring it back to you, to stay with it, and to and not run away from it,
Mm-hmm.
because all we want to do is just to run away and hide and ask for help. Can someone just take this away from me? And now we are at a point where we just recognize, well, where I am at now, I know that I can do it differently. I can choose differently. And this choosing differently then brings me into transcendence, into allowance, into evolving, into discovering more of me in a way that uh, you cannot beforehand know. You cannot. You cannot have a program. You cannot have any, right? You cannot say, I'm programming my ascension, I'm programming my evolution, I'm going to do this and then this and then this, and in 5 years I'll be ascended.
You know, it's so funny. You might like this analogy that the team gave me. So they said, Isabelle. I'm like, okay. They said, you are the maestro of your orchestra, and us guides are just the instruments that you have placed for us to play the notes of music that you are conducting. But you are in control of how loud the notes are, the tempo. We are just breadcrumbs coming to you, given by yourself for your ascension. And so we're just the instruments.
That's
Absolutely.
great. And you know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of Eluwita, Lord of the Ring, Tolkien, in that universe. I was going to say mythology. It's not a mythology, it's a universe. In that earth, the mythology of the creation of the world is the music of the gods, the angels, right? All these beings that were playing the music. But when there were discordance and someone that was playing a little bit against everyone else, the one, so the God, the creator, the one creator said, and even for Melkor, so the one that was opposing everyone else, in all that he's doing, in all of his opposition and what he wants to create to oppose, I can say this, even in that, you're doing my will, the will of the
Mm.
one, of the creator. So you are not opposing me, because your opposition, your creation, right, your attempt of creating opposition is still my will. So it's right, the creator is creating all of it, all that is in accordance and all that is in discordance. There is no difference. And I like it. You made me think of that, because he's right, he's part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Hey, Isabel, if you're not doing anything tonight, you can come into my class. I'm teaching on vibrational tactician if you want to pop in tonight.
I would love to experience that.
Yeah.
That would be
I think I have
awesome.
your email. Let me look.
Attracting wisdom.
Attracting wisdom.
Or I can send,
Oh, you have
or
the
yeah, if
thing,
you can send it, or
Max? You have the
Sorry?
thing, the invite?
Yeah,
Where's
I
the
have
invite?
it. It's I
It's a
think
Zoom.
I send you the link on
Messenger?
Messenger.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is that good?
I copy it and a basic
Yeah,
copy
send it
and
to
I
her. So
send
if
it
you
to
want to
you.
come in tonight, it's at 7 p.m. So you're still in North Carolina, right? You just said that, are you? Okay,
Yes.
so that'd be 8 o'clock
Yeah.
your time.
So I'm just, I think you're an hour behind me.
Yeah.
I'm an hour ahead of
So
you.
it'd be 8 p.m. your time.
Oh, 8 p.m.
Yeah,
Okay.
because you're East Coast, and
Awesome.
then
Yeah.
so.
Awesome. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, then I will see you both tonight then.
So I
Very
think we
cool.
should wrap it up,
Yes.
Max.
Yeah,
We're a little bit
absolutely.
longer than normal, but I love it
This
because we were
is
just humming along.
yeah, absolutely. So thank you for to both of you, Isabel and Roxy, for this amazing moment, and thank you to everyone that joined in.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And before we
So
go, Isabel, how can people find you?
yeah,
You can find me at attractingwisdom.com and you will find that I have blogs and YouTubes and podcasts and courses and all sorts of things.
Very good. So that's attractingwisdom.com, right? Okay.
Yes.
And I'm Roxanne at odysseyofascension.com on here, website and YouTube. And Max, where can they find you?
you can find me on breakfastwithmax.com, also on YouTube, and on this moment on my Patreon. I'm owning my craft, so I'm doing a lot of channeling, where I'm experimenting with the channeling. So yeah, you can find that on my Patreon, which it's Patreon/ You'll find the
You'll
information on
find
my
it on your
YouTube.
YouTube. Yeah.
I don't know. It's everywhere. I don't know. Anyway, so thank you to everyone again, and we will be seeing you in the next now.
Thanks everyone for joining in.
Bye bye.